Hey, what's up, everybody? Clayton and Stephanie gets here, my beautiful co-host. So this is Proximity Podcast. Over the past several weeks, I have noticed that my real estate team, I've got about 45 agents and staff that work for Mission Realty, brokered by EXP here in Richmond, Virginia. And one of the things that I've noticed over the past several weeks is that conversations that my agents were having with clients, with one another, but mainly with clients, is that they were forgetting to pay attention to the other person's, the client's personality, like their personality style. And so we're going to kind of walk through today different personality styles according to the DiSC. It's something that I kind of grew up on. There are all kinds of different, you've got Myers-Briggs and I think we tend to overcomplicate it. DiSC has always worked really well for me personally, and when we're hiring people and training people. But I've noticed over the past several weeks that my agents were not listening to for the specific words and tones and characteristics that kind of make up the other person's personality. And what's so important about that is you can lose people, you can lose business, you can lose clients, you can lose relationships, or you can gain relationships, you can gain business, you can gain income. Like you can lose income or gain income if you're not communicating with people the way that they prefer to be communicated with.
Yes, that's one of the mistakes I think people commonly make when they take these personality assessments, and probably most people have at some point in their life with their job or if they work for a corporation. They take these tests, and the thing that we tend to think when we take them is, this is beneficial for me, or I should understand myself better. And it is helpful in doing that. But the most important thing is learning how to apply that to other people. One thing that I specifically like about the DiSC assessment is the fact that it is simple.
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
Myers-Briggs is great, but I've taken it, I think, twice in my life, and I can never remember what I am because there's like 8
I've never taken it. Is it complicated? Tim, is it complicated?
There's more, there's like 8, there's a bunch of different letter combinations you can be.
Instead of just 4.
Yeah, and so I can't ever remember what they are.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
So, and that makes sense according to my personality.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So we're going to be unpacking that today. And by the way, can I just acknowledge that I love that shirt?
Thank you.
Do you want to know why I love that shirt?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think the audience wants to know either.
I love that shirt very, very much. I'm trying to stay focused. So one of the things we're going to address today is this, and it's, I'll never forget, honey, like back in the day, I walked into a listing, or I pulled up to a listing appointment, right, with a seller. And I pulled a long driveway, relatively, and I pulled down the driveway, and it was a single car driveway. You remember this? Mm-hmm. And so it was about a $750,000 house, right? So I was really excited about it. This is early on in my career, and so I pulled down the driveway, and there was no place to really park, like just one car, right, could fit. And so I walk inside, and the wife answered the door. I walk inside, and I was like, is your husband here? Because I knew that they were both involved. And she said, no, he's on his way home from work. Didn't think anything of it, right? So we sit down and we're talking, and the husband opens the door. And I get up to go shake his hand. The first thing he says to me is, you couldn't park in the street? Like, just like that. Like you couldn't park. He didn't say hi. He said, you couldn't park in the street. And immediately the emotion, I was like,
Sure.
I said, it just came out. I was like, are you kidding? And he was like, no. I had to drive around you in my grass to get to my parking spot without even saying hello. And so I can tell you right then and there, I would have acknowledged, we're going to talk about the first. So D in DiSC is not the word for, right? It's the word for dominance. And so this guy was clearly, he was a high D, right? I knew that. And it doesn't mean you're a jerk, right? But this guy was just a high D. You don't typically go there right out of the gates if your personality is like you screwed up, and I'm going to let you know about it right now. So I turned around. You don't remember this? I turned around and I went over to his wife. I reached out my hand, I shook her hand, and I said, thank you so much for your time today, but this is not going to be a good fit. And I turned around and walked out. And she was like, wait, where are you going? Because I just knew that person was going to be
difficult,
very, very difficult to work with. So D is for dominance. So people with the DiSC or D style personality tend to place a strong emphasis on shaping the environment and overcoming opposition to accomplish results. These are the people that you're having, and they're very, very easy to pick up on. These are the people, if you're in real estate, these are the seller clients, for example, where you go in with your presentation, you go in with your marketing presentation, and you're trying to explain the benefits of working with you. And a high D personality will literally cut you off mid-sentence and say, Stephanie, can you just tell me how much you can sell my house for? And Stephanie, because she's a high I, we're going to get to that in just a minute. Her immediate thought, if she's not paying attention to this, her immediate thought is, oh my goodness, he hates me. Mm-hmm. He hates me. When really he's just a bottom line driver, get to the point. Like, I don't need any of that fluff. Don't tell me about your family or your friends or how your day is. I don't care about your outfit. Just get to the point. Like, how much can you sell my house for? How long is it going to take you to sell my house for? And if you do not, here's the important part, if you do not communicate with that personality the way that they prefer to be communicated with, if you try to come back and stay with your personality, you'll just lose it. You'll just lose it. They will not like you. They will respect you. And it's the hardest thing for somebody like you. And I'm a DI, and all of this will make sense, hopefully, if you've never done this in just a few minutes. But when I lead with my D and I pick up on that, I'm totally fine. So the appropriate response in that situation is I can sell your house for $450,000, for example. I can sell your house for $450,000. I can get it done in probably 30 to 45 days. And you shut up. And you let them process it for just a second. They don't process for very long. And then typically they're going to say, great, what's next? Mm-hmm. Sign here. Sign here. You just don't need all the fluff with a high D. If you try to go there, you'll lose them. Yes. If you work towards their personality, you will gain a friend. And by the way, lots of high Ds are corporate executives. They are physicians. They are people that make a lot of money and they're decision makers, right? So you want to be able to communicate with them. It's not a very common, like all D is not a very common personality, but they exist and they will intimidate you. Yep. And I love, and both you and I have a lot of respect for high D.
Yes.
For high D, I do. People. Yeah. Yeah. You, any comments on that?
No, other than, yes, you're right. For some reason, I am drawn to high Ds. I don't know why. Maybe because I wish I had a little bit more of that in me, and I respect it.
Hey. Hey.
So I am drawn to high Ds for sure. And as an I, we just have to be careful not to take a D personally when they are being direct. Yeah,
because they will crush your soul.
They will crush your soul.
Yeah. So D styles, just to kind of break it down a little further, D style personalities tend to have goals such as these. And you can move to the next slide, Tim, if you haven't already. They strive for unique accomplishments. They love to explore new opportunities. That sound familiar, honey?
Yeah.
They like to maintain control of their audience. They love to achieve independence. They love being independent. They're not necessarily, they don't like being part of a team. Like this is interesting.
Or maybe
again,
working for someone.
Right. So if you have a real estate team and you're hiring you, this is where this has been so important to me. So, you want to look for, if you're a real estate team leader, you want to look for, if you are hiring for a buyer's agent, for example, or a buyer specialist, someone's going to work exclusively or mostly with buyer clients, then those are going to tend to, their personality types are going to tend to be more ISs or SIs. Those are the best types of personalities for agents to work with buyers. Sellers, on the other hand, you want DIs or IDs, because you eventually you got to get to the point, and you have to be able to close eventually. And again, bottom line results. Get to the point, Stephanie. D-style challenges are, they need to show more patience, right? They need to show more patience. They need to display. Occasionally that happens with me. They need to display more sensitivity, and they need to explain the details better. And then finally allow for some deliberation, some back and forth, right? Because there's just, with typical Ds, it's like, no, I'm going to tell you how it is, and I don't want to hear what you have to say. And then D styles in leadership, they can be commanding, resolute, and pioneering. And so what a D might say, what you might hear a D saying is, and I love this so like is me, Tim, what's the point of playing if winning isn't the goal? What's the point of playing if winning isn't the goal? Right. So I give coaches a hard time, because our girls both play volleyball, and I give them a hard time, and they're like, they're not, it's, junior varsity and varsity.
High school.
It's high school. Right. And so I give coaches a hard time, and I really can't tell if coaches like me or hate me, because I tend to coach from the sidelines. But this is how I feel.
Yeah.
And you were in the office the other day when I said this, and I said, who, it was like 40, 45 people in the room. And I said, who agrees with this? And what, like 75% of the people in the room raised their hand, and they're like, and most of them were like, oh, heck yeah. Like, yeah, like, why would I play a game if I'm not going to, if winning's not the goal? But then you had 25% of the people were like, well, like,
can't we just have fun?
Can't everybody just, get along? And what about participation trophies? Like they tried hard. Clayton, like, be nice. And that's the antithesis of like everything like that.
Yes.
But again, it's so important to communicate. What if you're communicating with a participation trophy, right? That somebody that agree, and you come in and you're just like, oh I can't believe you would think that. Well, then you just crush their soul, and you've lost a client. So right. So
yep.
So important. So communicating with the D. When communicating with the D, you got to get to the bottom line right away. Be brief, stay focused, avoid generalizations, and refrain from repeating yourself, and stick to solutions rather than problems.
And don't go on and on and on. For sure, give too much detail.
Oh yeah.
I lost a sale doing that before.
Yeah.
I was working with a high D, and I forgot this whole training, and I thought I was being helpful and giving more information, and instead I was just annoying her. She ended up not ordering.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, it's just painful lesson learned.
Yep.
Okay. So on to the next slide. I stands for influence. And I am definitely an I. And I is a person.
Extrovert.
Who is an extrovert.
Talk to a wall.
Yes.
I drag you away from, like, I'll be standing there with another husband, and we're literally both like, and the two, and I'm thinking of Shireen, right?
Yeah,
and you guys are like, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's 11 o'clock.
It's time to go.
To bed.
Yes. So the I personality places emphasis on influencing and persuading others. They tend to be enthusiastic, optimistic, open, trusting, and energetic.
Lots of hand gestures. True.
Jim's laughing.
When we asked everybody in the office, we're like, okay, who's an I? Raise your hand. They were like
I'm an I.
I love people.
We're very proud of our I. I don't know why that is either.
So true.
So I style goals tend to be goals such as these. They want to attain victory with flair, pursue friendships and happiness. That is 100% me. Achieve status through authority and prestige. Seek approval and be popular. And generate excitement. And I think that's because, that's why we talk so much, is we're trying to seek that
we want to be liked. I'm a DI. And,
yes.
and so, yeah, we, and you just have to understand that.
He's like schizophrenic.
We want, well, that's really DC, but DIs as well.
You're right.
DCs are definitely that way. But it's just understanding that the other person that you're communicating with, if they're a high I, then they have a high, you got to let them talk. You got to let them talk about their friends and their family and what they're wearing, and they're going to comment on your shoes and, oh my gosh. And you just got to let them get especially if you're a high D, because it's going to be painful for you to listen to. Right. But you got to let them do it. And you have to, it's almost like it's mirroring. Right. It's like they need to know that you're interested in who they are.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So some challenges that I's might deal with are getting organized. You could walk upstairs and look at my desk right now and see
Or
that is
mine.
100% true. We struggle with researching facts. So we don't like to take the time to do that. It's annoying.
Facts.
We
Talk to me about facts. Your mom drives me crazy. Every time, and then we'll get to this because she's a high C, but every time, because they help out so much.
Yes.
And like, so they'll like, it's like Sunday nights. She's like, okay, so what do you have for the week? You have volleyball, but what nights are you going to be having dinner home? And we're like,
I don't know. That's 4 days away from
I
now.
know, it's tomorrow, Mom. Like, come on. And she's like, what would you like for dinner? And I'm like, can you just figure it out? Like, just make something. Like, well,
we'll eat anything around there.
she's so awesome.
I know. We struggle with speaking directly and candidly, because when we do that, we feel like we're being rude. We feel like we need all the fluff in there. We really struggle staying focused for long periods of time, for sure. And we
What's
struggle,
that movie? Up.
Yeah, squirrel.
Squirrel.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And we also struggle with following through completely. 100% me. An I style in leadership, they love to take a new idea and run with it. They get really excited on the front end. We're good at energizing teams, building enthusiasm about products or projects. We can also be erratic leaders who see little need for consistency or caution. That is very true. And I styles often display leadership characteristics such as energizing, pioneering, and affirming. We love to affirm people. And that's part of, the desire to be liked, I think is probably what feeds into that.
Well, and it's also, I know for you, it's very genuine. It's,
Yes.
you, it's not only the desire to be liked, but it's also you just really appreciate and love people. Right. And you don't get annoyed very easily.
No.
Whereas I'm, depending on the environment, right?
Yes.
Because in business, the D tends to come out a little bit more than it does in personal relationships. But you put me in front of the wrong person, and that'll come out. But you can pretty much talk to.
Yeah, it's hard to ruffle my feathers. So something that you might hear an I say is, "Whoever's happy will make others happy too."
Just the way you said it. Yeah. It's like Mary.
So totally. So when communicating with an I, you want to share your experiences and allow them to time to ask questions and talk themselves, because the I's love to talk about themselves. And you want to focus on positives, avoid overloading them with details. We do not like details. We'll get into that in a minute. And you want to try not to interrupt, because again, I's love to talk about themselves.
Yeah. And what's so amazing about it, because this is it's just so why I've always appreciated this, because I think people tend to overcomplicate some of these personality, assessments, and it's really not easy to deviate from from an I, or from, if you're truly at your core an I type personality, or a D or an S or a C. It's really hard it takes effort, and it's uncomfortable to step outside of that box and like try to become a D when you're just not.
Right. So what I love about this, if you're listening to this today and you're really trying to learn for your business, for your team, one thing that you'll appreciate about this so much is how simple it is. And once you know these, and we'll review them quickly at the end before we close. Once you understand this, it's pretty easy to peg somebody when you meet them.
Oh,
and then know where to go from there. That's what I appreciate about the DiSC. Okay, so the next one is S, which stands for steadiness. An S personality in the DiSC quadrant places emphasis on cooperation, sincerity, loyalty, and dependability. They tend to have calm, deliberate dispositions, and they do not like to be rushed. They don't want to be rushed.
And so again, what's so important about this is if you're again a team leader, and you're looking for agents, you're hiring agents, right? What a great team player.
Yeah.
Cooperation,
100%,
loyalty,
yeah,
dependability, and they are. ISs, SIs, like they will, like they're do or die. Like they will, they'll stay, or ride or die. Do or die? Ride or die? Ride or die. Thank you. Yeah. Ride or die. Like they'll stick with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm looking for this. We have candidates take this personality assessment because we're looking for that personality.
For that personality trait. Yeah. So S styles are motivated by cooperation, opportunities to help, and sincere appreciation. So obviously they want words of affirmation. If they're a part of your team, they want to feel appreciated. They prioritize giving support, collaborating, and maintaining stability, and are often described as calm, patient, predictable, deliberate, stable, and consistent. Some fears of somebody that has a high S personality is they do not like change. They don't like a loss of stability, offending others, letting other people down. Some values that they have is they are loyal, as Clayton said. They love helping others. They like security. That's a big value of theirs. Overuses, they tend to is modesty, passive resistance, and compromise. Meaning, I guess they can over compromise a little bit. Is that right?
So sorry, I was staring at you. So overuses. They overuse. Yep.
Influences.
They compromise too much.
Yeah, they compromise too much. They influence others by accommodation and consistent performance. In conflict, they tend to listen to others' perspectives. They keep their needs to themselves. So I feel like they're stoic, right? They tend to be stoic. My mom is that way. Like my mom, I think of my mom immediately. She's a high S.
Well, especially if you don't have the I. Like if you're,
right.
if you're like an SC or
They if they have issues, concerns, you're probably not going to hear it from them. They could improve effectiveness through displaying more self-confidence and revealing their true feelings. What you might hear an S personality say is the invariable mark of wisdom is to see the miraculous in the common. That might be something that you would hear a high S individual say.
Yeah. And your mom, she's very stoic.
Very stoic. And she doesn't, if you think about it, she never asks or complains about her needs.
I'm like, woo.
Yeah. And then she has to deal with the rest of us.
Yeah.
Poor thing.
So this is a really interesting personality style, is C, conscientiousness. And it's the one that I have in business that I have struggled with the most over the years because I'm so not this. And this is what I'm talking about. It's really hard. Oh, I know. Like we're basically the same person. It's really hard to step outside of my DI box and conform or get into the C box. So when you're working with a high C person, and by the way, this works really well in interpersonal relationships also.
It does.
But when you're working with a high C client, buyer or seller, this person believes in quality and accuracy, expertise and competency. They enjoy their independence. They demand, this is important, they demand the details, and they often fear being wrong. If you do not communicate with this personality type the way that they prefer to be communicated with by giving them all of the details, which means, yes, they're going to want to read the entire contract with you, line by line, and they're going to have a whole bunch of questions. And it will be incredibly painful if you are not this. And I mean incredibly painful. You might have to spend hours where with other types of personalities, you would only spend minutes. Stephanie and I bought a house, closed on an investment property yesterday. You weren't there, so I don't know if you appreciate this or not. But my attorney just knows, like, he's like, sign here. There was like 50 signatures or whatever it is, right? He's like, sign here. I'm like, and he's telling me briefly what each page means. He's like, sign here, sign here, sign here. And I just trust that he's doing his job, right?
Yes.
But this person will literally say, ho, I'm not signing there until I read what I'm signing for.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Which is probably not a bad practice, but
I know.
But
we're going to be the ones that get in trouble for that,
yeah,
not
for sure,
them. They're
for sure.
not going to be caught, with their pants down.
So
we will.
So the analyst, the C styles are motivated by opportunities to gain knowledge, show their expertise, and produce quality work. They prioritize ensuring accuracy again, and maintaining stability, et cetera, et cetera. So their fears are criticism and being wrong. Like they hate being wrong because they pay such close attention to the details, and they also fear strong displays of emotion. That's where if you and I come in And it's so important to know on the front end so that when you sit down with this client face to face, or if you're showing this type of client properties, for example, if you're a high I, like we are, like lots of hand gestures and, oh, how are you? Oh, you're going to want to tamp that
They
down.
probably wouldn't trust somebody
No,
like
it's
me. If I walked in with
they're gonna
that
be
level of
suspicious.
energy, they're going to be like, whoa, what are you up to?
With how we normally
Right.
would
Yeah,
respond, which is very enthusiastic,
Yes,
and
yes.
how are you? And yeah, they immediately the antennas go up.
Yep.
So they probably overuse analysis and restraint. They influence others by logic and exacting standards. In conflict, they focus on logic and objectivity, and they will overpower you with facts, right? And I hate that, like facts, like, and they could improve effectiveness through acknowledging others' feelings and looking beyond the data. You might hear a C say something like this: "It takes less time to focus on doing a thing right than to explain why you did it wrong."
I think I've actually heard my mom say that. Surely. It's so true.
Yeah. So when communicating with a C, again, you want to focus on facts and details and minimize pep talk, right? Where I love pep talks.
I love pep
Yeah, give me a
talks.
good pep talk
Yes.
over the facts and details anyway. But when you're communicating with a high C, facts and details, and avoid pep talk or emotional language. Be patient. There's that word again, which
Yeah.
I have none of. Like, I am the worst fisherman.
He has no patience.
Because I can't just sit there and like, why are they not biting? Like immediately. I will not sit there for hours, and I'm horrible.
That's why you don't.
Her
touch
dad
any fish.
went to the river a couple weeks ago, and he sent me a picture of all of these fish, like all of, and I've caught, like, last time I was there, I caught a fish literally, it was like this big. I was so happy, I was so proud of myself. And so he sends me this like basket of fish, and he's like, I caught all these fish today from your dock, and he's not a fisherman either. And I was like, whatever. Wait, really? Like, you caught all those fish? He bought them and made it look like he put them in a basket, made it look like or a bucket, made it look like he caught them. Totally happy. But you want to be patient, persistent, and diplomatic when communicating with these folks.
Yep. So in review, because if you're watching this and you just like kind of want to quick remember what each stands for, D is for dominance. Think of them as being like
Bottom
very
line, get to the point.
bottom line, direct, get to the point. I is for influence. We like to influence people. We're enthusiastic. We're like extroverts. S is somebody who, it stands for steadiness. They are the person that they're like calm, cool, collected, loyal. They don't like change. And C stands for conscientiousness. And they are the people that they love the detail. They want to know they're going to read every contract, the entire thing, make sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed. And the great thing about all these personalities as we look at them is there's not one that's any better than another. I can appreciate aspects of all of these. We have to have C's. A D has to have a C, because if a D doesn't have a C, we are screwed.
We're in trouble.
We're in trouble.
Yeah, the people that are actually reading the contracts,
Right, right.
and advising, and
That's right.
for sure.
Yeah.
And so again, this will make you a lot of
Yes, it
money,
will.
or it will lose you a lot of money.
Yes, it will.
This is one of the most important lessons I learned early on in my career, and it made me a lot of money once I figured this thing out.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
So, and I married basically me.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing, and you know it.
I know it is.
We
It's a
work
great
really
thing.
well together.
Yeah, we do.
So listen, get in the room, keep getting in the rooms. Like, we're going to get in, actually we're going to get on a boat next week and get in some rooms, kind of a mastermind.
Yes.
And then a couple weeks after that, we're going to be traveling to Arizona to get in another room with a bunch of high level individuals. So proximity matters. Keep getting in the room. We'll see you next time.